Hello everyone, welcome to part 2 of the sequences and series chapter. I hope all of you have gone through part 1 where we discussed arithmetic progressions, geometric progressions, recursive sequences. So in this part of sequences and series, we will go through the binomial theorem. Now binomial theorem is quite a common occurrence in both the ESAT and TMU exams. You will find them in TMU paper 1, sometimes paper 2 as well. So the binomial theorem expands a plus b whole to the power n. It actually is much more universal than just binomials, because binomial is specifically a polynomial with two terms, but the binomial theorem can also handle any algebraic expression with two terms, such as x plus 1 upon x can also be handled via binomial theorem. But x plus 1 by x is not a polynomial, because 1 by x has a power of -1 and polynomials only take whole number powers. So binomial theorem expands a plus b whole to the power n with n belongs to z plus. Z plus is essential because there is negative binomial theorem which is not in our syllabus, but it exists. The vanilla version of the binomial theorem that exists in our syllabus is defined as a plus b whole to the power n equal to sigma r is equal to 0 to n ncr a to the power n minus r into b to the power r. What happens when you expand these terms? The power of a starts as the maximum, it slowly decreases while the power of b increases. In the first term, there is only a, no b, and in the last term, there is only b, no a. And the coefficient is determined by the combinatorics coefficient ncr. Some books prefer to write this as ncr, n choose r, but the official study materials follow this format, so I have followed this in my notes. So ncr is given as n factorial divided by r factorial into n minus r factorial. There are a few properties of this combinatorics coefficient that you should remember. The first one is ncr is equal to nc n minus r. The second property is ncr plus ncr minus 1 is equal to n plus 1 cr. Now you won't get sums from these properties explicitly, but they might help you in simplification of larger problems in TMUA. In ESAT M2, however, you might get combinatorics equations based on these. The r plus 1th term in binomial theorem is given as t of r plus 1 is equal to ncr a to the power n minus 1 b2. The r plus 1th term in the binomial theorem is given as t of r plus 1 is equal to ncr e to the power n minus r times b to the power r. Basically this. Now why is this t of r plus 1? Because we start counting from r is equal to 0. The term with index 4 is the 5th term. If I want the 4th term, I have to figure out the term with index 3 as an example. So I'll put r is equal to 3. Okay. The total number of terms in the binomial expansion is n plus 1. That makes sense because I go from 0 to n, from 1 to n elements and add 0, n plus 1. Try this question. Find the coefficient of x cube in 2 plus 3x whole to the power 7. The general term is given as 7cr 2 to the power 7 minus r into 3x to the power r. This expression. For x cube, r should be equal to 3 because you are technically taking the 4th term. The first term does not contain an x, it just contains 2 to the power 7. So you'll have to go for the 4th term. So the coefficient is 7c3 2 to the power 4 into 3 cube. That just gives you 35 into 16 into 27, which is 15120. Okay, easy question. Next, try this question. This one is a little difficult. Alright, how would you do this? In the expansion of 2 plus 3x whole to the power 12, how many terms have coefficients divisible by 12? Now, to get a number to be divisible by 12, it should be divisible by 2 square and 3. First, write down the general term. The general term is given as 12cr 2 to the power 12 minus r into 3 to the power r. Now, as 3 divides 12, all the coefficients divisible by 12 should have at least one 3. Makes sense? So r equals to 0 fails because r equals to 0 denotes the first term, which is 2 to the power 12. As 2 square divides 12, all coefficients that are divisible by 12 should include 2 square. So that means this power of 2 should be greater than equals to 2. So 12 minus r greater than equals to 2 gives me r less than equal to 10. That means excluding the 0th term, terms 1 to 10 should be included within our count. Only 2 terms remain to be tested, term number 11 and term number 12. So at r is equal to 11, the coefficient becomes 12c11 2 to the power 12 minus 11 3 to the power 11. From this portion of 2's and 3's, I obtain 1, 2 and 11 3's. That is not supposed to be divisible by 12, right? Because there is only 1, 2 and I require at least 2 2's to be divisible by 12. However, 12c11 itself is 12. For the 11th term, we have a divisibility by 12. At r is equal to 12, the coefficient will be 12c12 2 to the power 12 minus 12 into 3 to the power 12, which is the last term. So yeah, that is not going to be divisible by 12. So the total number of terms that we have counted so far is r not equals to 0, r less than 10 and r is equal to 11. So that means total of 11 terms from terms 1 to 11. Now we move on to binomial approximation. So binomial approximation is extremely useful in the context of compound interest problems, and you can shorten the calculations by quite a bit. So why do we use binomial approximation? That is because sometimes physical quantities are too small to be raised to higher powers. So if you're looking into something like 1.005, I can write that as 1 plus 0.005 to the power n, and if I expand it, I'll get 1 plus nx plus n into n minus 1 by 2. If you're wondering how I get these coefficients, this is just the combinatoric simplification of NC1, NC2 is n factorial into n minus 2 factorial divided by 2 factorial. So n and n minus 1 would remain, n minus 2 factorial cancel away, and you get n into n minus 1 divided by that 2 factorial, which gives you just 2. Similarly, you can expand the other binomial coefficients as well. Now, as I was saying, 1.005, so this x would be 0.005, this x square would be 5 into 10 to the power minus 3 whole square. So this already became 10 to the power minus 6. Now, very few things in life require an accuracy of 10 to the power minus 6, apart from precision engineering and stuff. So if we want to meaningfully approximate something, capturing the first two powers is more than enough. Theoretically, we can say if modulus of x tends to 0, x to the power n tends to 0, and higher powers in the expansion can be ignored as they are too small to matter. We can write 1 plus x whole to the power n is approximately equal to 1 plus nx plus n into n minus 1 by 2 x square for mod x goes to 0. In fact, in physics, you will sometimes see 1 plus x to the power n approximated to 1 plus nx. Based on this formula, try to estimate 1.02 to the power 10. Should be fairly easy. You just have to take x is equal to 0.02. See, 1.02 to the power 10 is approximately equal to 1 plus 10 into 0.02 plus 45 into 0.02 whole square, which is 0.004. Simplify it and you get 1.218. Similarly, try to estimate 0.97 to the power 5. You can take x to be negative as well. The formula will still work as we had constructed with mod x tends to 0. So when you take x is equal to 0.03, you will get 1 plus 5 times 0.03 negative, because n is 5 here and x is 0.03. n into n minus 1 by 2 will give you 10, because you will get 5 minus 4 by 2, and 0.03 whole square will give you positive 0.009. Add all of this up and you will get 0.859. That's about it with the theory of binomials. Now there are two good questions that I have here. Please try them and then I'll show you the solutions. This is the first one. Do the next one. In the expansion of 1 plus 2x whole to the power 8, coefficient of x cube is a and the coefficient of x to the power 5 is b. Find a plus b. So the coefficient of x cube becomes 8c3, 2 cube. 8c3 is 56. So you'll get 56 into 8. Do not multiply this. b will be 8c5, 2 to the power 5 by the same logic. 8c3 should be equal to 8c5. So both of them are 56. Now in a I have 2 cube and in b I have 2 to the power 5. And in both of them I have 56. So if I take 56 common, I can do 56 into 8 plus 32, which is, so 56 times 40 becomes 2240. That's your answer, option D. The expansion of 2 minus x whole to the power n, where n is a positive integer, has the property that the coefficient x equals minus 192. Find the value of n and hence determine the coefficient of x square. So we have to determine the value of n and use that to determine the coefficient of x square. So the general term for this becomes NCR 2 to the power n minus r into minus x to the power r, because we have a minus x here. So please do not forget to include this within the power of r. Like don't write minus x to the power r. It's minus x whole to the power r. So at r is equal to 1, T2 becomes n times 2 to the power n minus 1 into minus x. R is equal to 1 will give me the second term which contains x. That coefficient is minus 192. That means minus n times 2 to the power n minus 1 is 192. Now we have to figure out the value of n. Of course, negatives cancel out. So I have an even number into n, right? So n cannot be 5, because if n was 5, then the last term would have been 0. So let's start with 4. 4 into 2 to the power 4 minus 1. 4 into 2 to the power 3. 4 into 8, 32, too small. Try with 6. 6 into 2 to the power 6 minus 1, 6 into 32, 192. That's how you get your answer. You will not be able to solve this using traditional equations. You just have to plug in values and check. The coefficient of x square means literally the coefficient of T3. So that will be 6c2 into 2 to the power 6 minus 2 into minus 1 whole square. So 2 to the power 6 minus 2 will be 2 to the power 4, which is 16, and 6c2 will give you 15. So 16 times 15 is 240. Answer is option A. If you need help with any of the chapters, use the link in the description to book a one-to-one class with me. If you need more practice, check out my books via the link in the description. With that being said, I'll end this video here. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you in the next one where we will discuss coordinate geometry. Bye. Take care.